the coronavirus pandemic has become a public health emergency.
Across the country, mass protests taking to the streets.
History will look back on the deep political divisions in our country.
Right now, we're living through an extraordinary time when the creation of new histories is almost palpable. So for me, as an historian sitting at a kind of linchpin of history, I think about how we're not the first group of people to go through incredibly difficult times. And so those people have so much to teach us. We just have to stop and look backwards. Let's start by looking at the greatest challenge of our new nation. By the time of the 19th century, slavery existed for all of human history, and enslaved people built New York City from the ground up. But continuing slavery in the early nation revealed the contradiction at the heart of its founding between slavery and freedom. Slavery would have to end, but how? Well, it started with African Americans who said, we understand ourselves as part of the all men who are created equal. So you're going to have to expand your understanding of who this nation is for. They fought alongside Quakers and other anti-slavery activists until finally, in 1827, slavery ended in New York. It makes me realize that within each of us, there is the power to create change. Let's move ahead to 1882. Plans are being drawn to build the Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor, which will be a symbol of welcome to immigrants arriving from all over the world. At the same time, the United States passes the Chinese Exclusion Act, which prevents the migration of immigrants from China and even denied basic freedoms to Chinese laborers who were already here just because of their race. But eventually, people stood up and said, this is wrong. It would take over 80 long years of struggle and debate before the Hart-Celler Act reopened our nation's borders to immigrants from all over the world. It was a moment when we expanded our ideas about who can become an American.
Congratulations.
Okay, let's fast forward. So in the mid-1960s, urban areas across the nation are still struggling with long-term issues of poverty. And we have the example in Brooklyn of Elsie Richardson. She calls on her two senators, Robert Kennedy and Jacob Javits, two of the most powerful men in the nation. They come into the Bed-Stuy community, and they realize that there is a crisis going on. So with Senator Kennedy and Senator Javits, they're in different political parties. They don't share some of the same basic beliefs about how the country should move forward, but they saw an opportunity to create something positive and constructive. They create the first community development center, which poured millions of dollars into the Bed-Stuy community. And knowing that they reached across those political divisions, that's inspiring. The New York Historical Society was founded over 200 years ago by a group of people who knew that it would be important to learn about who we were. They left this gift to us. And I think, looking back, every generation has a set of issues, challenges, problems they have to deal with. And we still face many of the same struggles today. But in all of these stories, time and time again, we see people who move through these difficult times, take courage, and strive for better. And that's a way to instill courage in ourselves. And so I think we study history to remind us that others have risen to the challenges of their times. And we can too.